Oh, good evening to you and welcome to State of Affairs here on GHOne television, the very first episode in the new year 2026. So it's a new year, new hopes and new tax reforms, and I'll tell you more about it shortly as we get into the conversation. But Ghana began the new year 2026 with some reforms with regards to taxes. Now, the finance minister announced on a post on social media that we are going to have about 6 billion Ghana cedis now pushed back to the Ghanaian people. So that, and a lot of people are raising questions about this, that, well, in an economy that is really tight, that needs this revenue, how are we going to go about it? Well, that's what the show for tonight is focusing on, because we are going to get answers to all of those questions for you. Because on paper, it sounds like a very good relief to a lot of people. But in practice, that's where the big question is. And that's where people are also raising those fundamental issues that as the taxes are going down, how do we expect revenues to go up? Down-up relationship. Very confusing for some people, but tonight we're settling all that confusion here on the show. We're putting all that conversation into proper perspective, and we've got the man who understands these numbers, a man whose job is to strategize, is to do research at the Ghana Revenue Authority. He's the acting head of strategy and research at the GRA, Dr. Dominic Naab, and he'll be joining us to really understand this whole phenomenon. Why is government taking this decision? What will be the implications, if any? How does government intend to raise the needed revenue for the big push, for the 24-hour economy, for all these policies that seek to drive industrialization and put monies in our pockets as citizens of the nation? Again, welcome to the very first episode of State of Affairs here on GHOne television, and State of Affairs is brought to you in association with MTN, and MTN says they've got the free after one extra package for you. Of course, you've had to speak to people during the Christmas holiday, but now you need to connect with the business people. You need to connect with the people that would give you new opportunities this year. And it's so sad if you have to speak to them and pay so much. And so MTN says free after one extra. For every 10 minutes you speak in an hour, you just pay for the very first minute, and you get to enjoy the rest of the call time uninterrupted, and also very, very free as well. Now, in addition, you get 50 megabytes of data as well for the package. And MTN is proud to be associated with State of Affairs. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Let's get into the numbers. So as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Dominic Naab has joined us. He is the acting head of strategy and research at the Ghana Revenue Authority. And he's here to help us appreciate these new reforms and how the GRA, the state agency mandated to collect our taxes, navigate the sphere. Doc, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And a happy new year to you.
Many happy returns.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. And same to you.
I hope you're doing very well, though.
We are doing so well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But talking about these reforms, fundamentally, we are seeing reductions on quite a number of fronts. What does this seek to basically achieve?
All right. Thank you very much. And happy new year to your cherished listeners. Yeah, so as you indicated, the Minister of Finance in his budget mentioned tax reforms.
Yes.
And one of the reforms has to do with the VAT. And let me just quickly say that the VAT is not a new tax. It is tax that actually has been in the system. What the minister has sought to do is to actually reform it, make it quite simple to be administered, and also to reduce cost. Now, the previous act that was in place was in operation for more than 10 years and had some kind of amendments. Right. So we thought it wise to actually consolidate it into one to ensure that there's clarity, to ensure that there's consistency, and also to give what we call legal certainty in its operation. So in doing so, there's a need to actually look at reforming the whole spectrum of the VAT. And again, you would also realize that the president, during his campaign, mentioned that he was going to do out with COVID-19 health recovery levy. The COVID-19 health recovery levy was a levy that was actually instituted when we had the pandemic.
Yes.
And even though the pandemic, is no longer with us, there were a lot of thoughts. Some said that we should convert it to some kind of medical emergency response so that we can still, collect it. But in keeping faith with Ghanaians, the president thought it wise to actually abolish it. So as we're speaking now, the 1% that used to be part of the VAT administration is no longer in existence, so it has been abolished.
Right.
But let me just say that the VAT that we practiced then had 15%, so the rate was 15%. Then we had the levies. So we had the National Health Insurance levy, which was 2.5. Then we have the GHOne, also 2.5. Then the COVID, 1%. So if you add all of them, then it is 6%.
Right.
So 6 plus 15. That gives you about 21. But the effective tax rate was also actually 21.9%. And the government thought it wise to actually reform it and make it simpler by reducing the structure. So what government has done in effect is that the COVID-1 is gone, so it means that we now have 5%. Now, the previous one had some very complex application. What it was that if you have the cost of a service or a product, then you add 5% to it. After you have gotten the resultant outcome,
yes,
then you now apply the 15% on it. That was how it was. And that created a lot of problems. So there was what we call cascading effect. It increased cost of living. And that was actually too bad. Apart from that too, it also increased, created a lot of distortions. Why distortions? We had various risks. We were applying 3%, we had a 3%, we had 5%, and we had 15%. All these things created a lot of problems. So government thought it wise to actually look at it again and to come up with a simplified, structure and one rate for VAT. Is that okay? So that everybody would actually be very happy.
Right.
Now, having said that, you would agree with me that yes, if government was getting effective tax rate of 21.9%,
yes,
now it's going to get 20%. And even apart from that, what it also means is that the VAT plus the levies are going to be imposed on the same base. So in effect, it means that it's going to reduce cost of living. So government is going to actually see a reduction in its tax yield. That is one. Consumers are going to be very happy because they are going to reduce their spending. Instead of 21.9%, they are now going to have 20%.
So 1.9 effectively gone.
Yeah, gone. So that is the more reason why we think that we should rather appreciate this kind of structure and these reforms, because it is actually going to cushion us as citizens. No wonder the Minister of Finance mentioned in his budget that he's given about 6 billion Ghana cedis to consumers and the business community. Why is this so? It is so because 21.9 against 20%, obviously is going to actually reduce the tax yield for government. Government is only not interested in just collecting taxes, but to actually ensure that some of the policies of government will also make cost of living bearable for the Ghanaians.
Can government really afford this?
Yeah, so what it means is that government intends to actually ensure what we call compliance by design. Make sure that we really are able to widen the tax net and also, deepen it to get all persons, involved. So if government is able to do that, I can bet my last peso that we are able to raise the needed revenue. That is
informal sector, among others. But then, let me take you back a bit to the COVID-19 level, which is number one on this particular flyer that was put up by the Finance Ministry. And people are asking questions. Did they have to wait for the entire reform to take place? Could it have gone earlier?
Yes, so that issue came up, but we just needed to understand exactly where we were before you can think about where you want to go to. Okay. So, yes, and also you have to also appreciate the fact that in trying to do some of these things, we need to actually be able to conscientize everybody. And don't also forget that we also had IMF conditionality.
Yes.
And it was part of the gamut of systems which were being looked at. So it would have been premature for government to just terminate it just like that. I'm sure that was why they had to just make sure that they looked at everything before putting it in place.
Okay, but let's look at the other items. For instance, so with the point 2, VAT rate has been reduced to 20% to ease the tax burden on households and businesses. That has been explained from the 21.9% to now 20%. So what that means is that we are going to enjoy some 1.9% reduction in what would have paid for VAT. Now, GHOne and NHIL levies are now input-output deductible, reducing the cost of doing business by about 5%. Talk to me about that.
All right. So what it was that if you were a standard rated supplier, you could only claim your VAT input. That is to say, whatever you incurred in buying things that had to do with the business, you could claim that one. But you couldn't claim the levies. But this time around, the government is saying that whatever input that you incur, you are going to claim both the VAT and then the levies. So it means that if, let's say, for example, I incur, let's say, 15 Ghana cedis on VAT, I incur, let's say, 5 Ghana cedis on the levies. Then in trying to sell my product or my service, I also have VAT, I've charged VAT of, let's say, 20 Ghana. I've charged COVID, let's say, 10 Ghana. So I'm allowed to deduct my 15 Ghana from my 25 Ghana. Are you getting it? So what I'm going to pay to government is actually nothing but 15. Is that okay? Right. So that is what it means. So you cannot claim both the VAT and then the levies. Hitherto, you could only claim the VAT. So for me, this is a very big, push for business, the business community, right, because they can now claim what they couldn't claim, before.
Point 4 talks about businesses dealing in goods will now register for VAT only when turnover exceeds 750,000 Ghana cedis, up from 200,000.
Okay, so what it means is that we have a threshold. VAT has to do with imposing the tax and also accounting for it. It will be very difficult for us to impose the tax and then you can't account for it. The accountability is very, very important. And it's not every business that can actually charge and account for it. So all that we are saying is that we have a threshold. And the threshold used to be 200,000. Now we have increased it to 750,000. So what it means is that if you are into supply of goods,
yes,
let me emphasize that, then the threshold will apply to you. If you are into supply of services, the threshold will not apply to you. So the threshold is only for goods and not for service. So businesses that have turnover of more than 750,000 over a 12-month period, they can charge, or they can register and charge for the VAT. Now, what we had, in place was the VAT flat rate plus the standard. So we had 3% persons who were charging VAT at the rate of 3%. Then we had the real estate sector that was charging VAT at 5%. Then we had the standard persons who were charging VAT at 15%. Now we have done away with the VAT flat rates. So the 3% is gone. The 5% is also gone.
For real estate, it's also gone.
Exactly. So now they are all supposed to charge 15% for VAT, and the levies will be 5%. Now let me just let you appreciate this.
Right.
Now, so what happens to the VAT flat rate persons? What it means is that once you are registered for VAT, or you were registered for VAT under the previous law, you are considered registered until you are deregistered. Let me take it that. Okay. I'm saying that once you are registered for VAT and you are charging VAT, per the new law, you are considered registered until you are deregistered. So the Commissioner General would have to assess as to whether indeed, in the case of persons who supply goods, they meet the 750,000 threshold. If they do, then they will continue to actually charge the VAT. If they don't, then the Commissioner General will have to deregister them. But what we want to put out clearly is that until you are deregistered, if you were charging VAT, continue to charge VAT. But this time around, you charge the VAT at the rate of 15%. That is the standard. When Commissioner General does his assessment,
yes,
and you don't meet the condition, then in that case, the Commissioner General will deregister you.
Register you. Okay.
Is that okay? But when it comes to services, there's no threshold at all. So all persons who provide services, they are required to register for VAT. If you are registered for VAT, then continue to charge the VAT at the standard rate. If you are not, then you should know that you are potentially liable to actually register and charge VAT. But there is also something when Commissioner General, has to also take into account.
Okay.
And that has to do with person's ability to charge the VAT and also to account for it. If you provide services, it's not Commissioner General pay his assessment, things that you can charge the VAT, but you'll not be able to account for it, or you may not even be able to charge the VAT, then he will not register you at all. So he's going to look at the sector by sector and look at persons involved and see whether indeed they would be able to account for the VAT. Remember, it is the consumer who is actually paying for the VAT.
Exactly.
So if the consumer pays for the VAT and you are not able to account for it, then it means that that person has been shortchanged. Ghana as a country has also been shortchanged.
But are there instances like that where persons or businesses charge VAT but cannot account for it?
So yes, there have been some few instances like that. So I mean, that is how come some have been prosecuted, and some have been taken through our certain actions that we have to be able to actually collect our monies. Yeah, but we don't even want that to happen. So once we know you can't account for it, then that is it. We don't allow you to even register. Having said that, there are certain persons who may not be able to reach the threshold of 750,000, but they can still apply to register voluntarily. That route is also there. Now, before Commissioner General would register you to charge VAT as a voluntary VAT registered person, you must have a fixed abode or a fixed place of business that we can always, reach out to.
There must be an office of a sort.
Yeah, sort of. We should know where you are so that at any point in time we can actually get to you. And two, you should also be able to demonstrate that you have what you keep proper records. Very, very important. Because if you don't keep records, you may not be able to account for it, for the VAT. And also, we should also have evidence that in the past, you have been filing your tax returns reliably, accurately, and correctly. Once we are able to assess all this, then the Commissioner General can go ahead and register you, even though your threshold is not 750,000, in the case of a supply of goods. But remember, as for services, every person potentially must charge if you were not charging.
It's quite interesting because one of the things that people have talked about since this was announced was the fact that, looking at our economy, we are revenue strained. We are complaining about the fact that we are not raising enough revenue to be able to do all the things we want to do to cushion the lives of the people. Are we not taking a gamble with this?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, the system has been evaluated, and the minister was very clear in his mind that, number one, he wants to deliberately actually give 6 billion out to business community and consumers. That is very deliberate. Remember, when it comes to government policy, it is not just all about collecting taxes. But even if you have to give tax incentives, you give reliefs and all those things, they are part of proper tax administration. Again, the minister is also very clear that given what GRA has in terms of resources, if GRA really wants to work hard, they should be able to collect all the taxes. But there are certain persons who are outside the scope of the GRA radar. There are also certain persons who are not even paying the appropriate taxes. Once you widen and also deepen the process, then we should be able to actually raise the needed revenue to develop this country.
So it's about widening and deepening.
Exactly. Exactly.
Quite interesting. Now, talking about even the decoupling issue, there are people who charge the tourism levy, CST, among others. Does the decoupling affect those industries as well?
Okay, so let's talk of the tourism levy of 1%.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you look at the law carefully, it says that the VAT should be the last tax to be imposed after all taxes are imposed.
Yes.
And if you look at the levy, it is also a tax. But again, because it created cascading effect, in this new law, deliberately, we have taken it out in the computation of the VAT and then the levies. So the 1% will not actually form part. So it doesn't actually increase cost, to the business community. That is what the law seeks to do. The second one has to do with CSC and excise. The CSC and excise are different regime. Is that okay? And those ones have to be imposed first per the law before we impose the VAT and then the levies. Remember that the VAT and then the levies are imposed on the same base. So when people say that the VAT rate is 20%, they are not wrong. All that they are trying to say is that the VAT is 15%, the levies are 5% on the same base. So they can as well just lump them together and say it is 20%. That is how come people say 20%. We don't begrudge them because it is really technically correct.
Right. Now, are there any projections in terms of revenue losses per the implementation of this VAT cuts?
Yes. I believe strongly that, as I said, the government has done some evaluation and there will be some revenue losses. But again, given the fact that compliance is going to be very key, and also we are counting on all Ghanaians to actually be compliant, voluntarily want to see some amount of compliance. Given all these things, I'm sure the revenue losses would actually will not be something we should discuss, because the gains are going to be far more than the
Because that's where the fears are, that if you are, say, expecting Ghanaians to be tax compliant. I've had conversations on the show and even on our morning show where we've spoken to people, and it's quite clear that nobody really likes to pay taxes. So what's the motivation for someone to want to pay taxes and for you to also rely on that to say, well, once we are able to pay taxes as we should be okay? Because people would not necessarily on their own want to pay taxes.
I think that we have actually moved from that kind of thinking, which, if you ask me, was quite anachronistic. The truth of the matter is that there's no way you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. There's no way we can think about development in our country if we are not prepared to sacrifice. And I believe strongly, given what I have seen over the years, taxpayers on their own trying to pay, taxpayers on their own calling and asking what is in it for us in this new dispensation. It tells me clearly that taxpayers really want to see the development of this country. We have all traveled outside, before, or if for nothing at all, at least we watch telly. You can see that many countries have developed, and they have developed on the back of taxes. So for me, I think that if we really want to see the development of this country, we just have to, pay our taxes. Again, government over the period has actually also made it very clear that we need money to be able to develop this country. Talking about this big push that you just mentioned,
yes,
and also 24-hour economy. If we are able to get all these things in place, I can assure you that unemployment is going to be seriously, reduced. Is that okay? And even I can tell you, if we pay our taxes very well, government can even afford to grant unemployment allowance as is done in other countries. So we need to actually be committed and to say that this is our country. We must deliberately try to actually develop this country, and we can do so through taxes.
And you're right on that score, because I've not seen any developed country that has really thrived without imposition of taxes, among others. But then there are those who also say that, well, we've been paying taxes all these years. We've not seen how our taxes have been put to use to benefit us. So why should we even pay taxes at all?
Anytime you want to nurse this kind of thinking, just ask yourself the security that you are enjoying. In other countries, people don't work freely. Are you getting it? Without being kidnapped here and there, without, being robbed. But in this country, you can see there's so much relative peace. So that alone is very, very important. That apart, education. If government says that, look, it is going to withdraw its support from education, you can imagine, we are all going to be unlettered. Is that okay? So it's also very crucial. Government is doing so much, but we need to support. Sometimes, anytime we hear, government is taking a loan to help develop the country, at the end of the day, government is going to pay, and it's going to pay through taxes. So taxes are doing so much, for us, and that is what we must appreciate. And in trying to respond to that appreciation, let's all be committed to paying our taxes.
And Doc, is it a case that people are not aware of these things, and that's why they make some of these comments, or is it simply attitudinal?
You see, you mentioned from the beginning that when it comes to taxes, nobody is very gleeful about payment of taxes. That's a fact. Are you getting it?
Yes.
You would, if I give you, I work with Ghana Revenue Authority. If you give me my entire salary and ask me to go and pay the tax, I would have to just think twice before I pay the taxes. So that is understood. Are you getting it? But we just have to be deliberate, about it. And also demand accountability. If we are able to actually pay our taxes well, then we can ask government. You said in your budget you are going to do ABC. Tell us why you haven't been able to do ABC as you have promised. Is that okay? And government is duty bound to respond. But why you are not paying your taxes? And trust me, those who actually do not pay taxes, in some cases, there are those who actually talk a lot. But if you are seriously working and paying your taxes, obviously, you would want to actually be happy to contribute. to your payment of taxes.
Right.
We need to just do that. It's a constitutional obligation imposed on all of us. It's also the way to actually liberate ourselves from the shackle of economic difficulties.
And at the GRA, what mechanisms are you also putting in place to ensure that people get to appreciate the need to pay their taxes? Because you seem to be very confident that people would actually embrace this call and pay their taxes. What mechanisms have been put in place to spare that?
Okay, so we have put in place a lot of systems. In the first place, we are counting on Ghanaians to actually voluntarily comply. That is critical. So you, myself, and everybody, we just have to deliberately comply. That apart, we are also creating what we call compliance by design. We have put in place what we call the electronic VAT, where if you are already a business person, then you have your system already. All that we need to do is just to embed our API in your system, so that when you are charging the VAT, we can sit in our office and see it real time.
Okay.
Are you getting it? That is what we have done. Again, we are also trying to put in place what we call the FED. That is fiscal electronic devices, where businessmen and women will be given the device. And the device will help you actually to be able to issue electronic receipts. And when you do that, we can sit in our office to actually ensure that things are done and done properly. That apart, this education that we are doing is also critical. And we intend, and in fact the minister also mentioned it, to ensure a sustained, deliberate tax education. And we believe strongly that tax education is not an event, it's a process. We have to be talking until we are able to get to where the global north is in terms of appreciating the tax system. And I believe strongly that with that, we'll be able to get there.
So who gets to benefit from these new reforms that have kicked in?
I would say Ghanaians. That is, the business men and women are going to benefit because they are going to have a significant reduction of 1.9 in their tax rates. Consumers, myself and you, are also going to benefit. And even students, in writing their exams, I can tell you that with the new reforms, it makes it easier to be able to calculate the VAT and then NHIL. Hitherto, it was creating a lot of problems, for students. So I think that, in fact, on the whole, we are all actually going to be beneficiary of the system. It will help us.
But will the Ghanaian consumer actually feel it? Because some complain that in as much as we see, these tax cuts being announced, it does not reflect in the reduction in the prices of goods and services.
I beg to differ, because the point actually is this. I am selling something for 10 Ghana, and that 10 Ghana includes my profit. I am going to add the VAT. Hitherto, it would have been 21.9. Now it is 20%. You cannot tell me that I'm still going to pay the same price as I was paying before. Is that okay? And for me, I think that no, it shouldn't happen. And Ghanaians are really patriotic, and I believe strongly that they will actually support the process.
So your expectation from these policy is that we should see a reduction?
Obviously, yes. Obviously, we should see a reduction. In fact, it is something that should happen as a matter of course. Because come to think of it, 21.9% is that okay? Effective tax rate. Now you are going to have 20%. The 1.9% is very significant. In fact, we are looking at it in terms of one city. Then you don't appreciate that. The business community that is spending so much money, 1.9% is very big, incentive for them.
Because, like I said, that's where the fear is, that yes, the business community, those who spend so much in terms of taxes, would appreciate this. But then for the consumer, the final consumer, this kicked in when? On the 1st of January.
Yeah.
But from then till now, today being the 5th, I'm not sure people are excited seeing like cuts in prices, or it will take time.
Oh, it shouldn't take time. In fact, I'm sure people have started. In fact, yesterday I had a call from a young guy who is into business. You know what he told me? He said, look, now, this your tax system is the best we can talk about. He was so excited. This is a young business, man, who is telling me that it is good. And he did his own computation. And he wanted to run it by me and see whether he was correct. And I told him yes. So for me, I think that, as I said, if you are buying in small quantity, you may not appreciate it. But those who are buying in large quantities, they would really appreciate it. And I believe on the whole, the net effect is that it's actually going to be positive, on our economic well-being.
So if I go and purchase stuff and I see my receipt and I don't see 20%, but I see 21.9% cumulatively. I should be angry.
So it shouldn't happen because we have done sufficient education. We are still, talking to a lot of persons, about it. It shouldn't happen. But if for any reason anything like that is spotted, please report to the Ghana Revenue Authority, and then we'll quickly take action. Because we really want this law to work, and we don't want anybody who would actually create some problem, for us.
Absolutely.
If government is giving you goodies, government is giving you something that's an incentive, we wouldn't want anybody. It's okay to get policy around that.
It would be so unpatriotic of any person to not allow this to effectively work.
Certainly yes.
Well,
certainly yes.
Right. So my guest is Dr. Dominic Naab. He is the acting head of strategy and research at the Ghana Revenue Authority. We are taking a look at our tax regime with a focus on the new tax reforms, including the reduction in value-added tax, here on State of Affairs. We'll be right back after this break. Well, you're still watching State of Affairs here on GHOne television with me, Joshua Kodjo Mensah. My guest tonight, Dr. Dominic Naab. He is the acting head of strategy and research at the Ghana Revenue Authority. We are taking a look at the tax regime. Yes, of course, a new year has started, and the new year started with a reduction in VAT, among others. And so we're looking at how we can navigate that spectrum and get to understand exactly what the GRA as well is seeking to do to be able to ensure a smooth implementation of this vis-a-vis raking in the needed revenue for development. And my guest tells me that, well, if we are able to pay our taxes as we shouldn't have any problems at all, because this is actually good. Because the finance minister mentioned that about 6 billion Ghana cedis is going back to businesses, to individuals, to you and me as a result of this policy shift. But one thing he mentioned also has to do with the fact that we need to widen the tax net, broaden the tax net. Consistently, Doc, we've heard that, yes, it's hard to tax the informal sector. And so we've had other measures to rake in the informal sector just so that we can be able to get the needed revenue in terms of taxes. Really, is this just an excuse, or is the reality that we have on the grounds?
Yeah, so the informal sector has been a challenge, not only in Ghana, the world over. In fact, if you actually pay attention to other tax jurisdictions in other areas, you come to this realization. But we are not daunted. We are working hard, and then to ensure that every person who is required to pay tax pays. What we have done is that we have also in our law, we have what we call the modified taxation.
Right.
Is that okay? So persons who may not actually register for VAT would get them to register under the modified taxation and then also pay their taxes. We think that when it comes to tax payment, once you earn income, and unless maybe you are exempt by law, you are required to actually pay tax. So we in time past, we used to actually collect taxes from the informal sector through associations. But there were a lot of problems we had, a lot of challenges. So we had to actually, do away with that and started dealing with them individually. And I believe strongly that with the Ghana card that has been introduced, and also the property addressing system, all these have really helped us in our ability to actually reach out to a lot of persons who are operating in the informal sector.
Okay.
And I just also don't want us to throw our hands in despair to say that the informal sector is actually so much of a problem. There are a lot of them who are actually paying. Is that okay? So there are some who are doing so well. But we think that we need to really break the education down to that level so that they can appreciate and also be able to tag along. That notwithstanding, our modified taxation is actually the game changer when it comes to dealing with the informal sector. And I can tell you that by June, the conversation will change regarding the informal sector.
All right. So we are making inroads in the informal sector.
Seriously, with the modified taxation, where if your income level is within a certain range, then we get you to pay a certain amount. You must also contribute. Once you can register for VAT, we'll get you to actually pay. And some are also going to pay based on a certain rate on their turnover. Is that okay? So we are doing all these things in tandem. Is that okay? With the whatever we are doing to ensure that we are able to get the informal sector to also contribute significantly to our revenue.
And the reason I'm asking this is also because now we've seen a lot of businesses change form. So hitherto people would have offices around, but now people just have their offices on their mobile phones, trading online and doing all manner of businesses online as well. So I'm looking at how you are also basically getting revenue from these people. Is that happening?
Yeah, so when it comes to online businesses and the cyberspace business that you are talking about,
yes,
I mean, we are evolving as a country. Until COVID-19, we didn't know that we could access education online, do a lot of things online. For me, this is positive. What we are doing in GRA is also to try to get our laws, is that okay, to be able to ensure that we are able to get such persons to pay, their taxes. So we are investing so much in IT infrastructure, just so that we are able to get such people to pay their taxes. And remember, because of e-commerce and the cyberspace business that we are talking about, the tax landscape has changed. It's no longer the question of the person is in Ghana. Is that okay, doing business in Ghana so we can get the person to pay tax? People are now doing it online. Is that okay? So we need to also try to, as a country, and together with other countries, see how we can, look at products within our tax laws that will also be able to help us get such persons to pay their taxes. Right. But once you are earning income, you must pay your taxes appropriately.
Mm-hmm. And do we have products like that now?
Oh yeah, we are working on it. We are working. In fact, GHOne is actually, as I said, we are investing so much in the IT space, and we are getting positive response. And I believe strongly that yes, we'll get there. It may take us time, but we'll certainly get there. Because come to think of it,
yes,
if you receive money on your Momo, I may not be able to tell, but we are hoping that with time we should have a system that will help us be able to actually track all those incomes.
And also because now I've seen people do a lot of things. So people are into what? MCing, and that's like huge side business for quite a lot of people. How's the GRA going about these ones as well? Because some get payments physically, cash. If you work for certain companies, they would deduct before you're paid. So there's withholding taxes. But what about those who just MC for people, get paid right there, they've earned income. But how do they pay taxes?
Yeah, so that is you are right. Our cash situation or the cash transactions that we really embed with is quite not helpful. In other countries, they are able to do that because they run cashless systems. But you realize that gradually we are also moving away from cash transactions.
True.
So yes, persons who MC like you, I'm sure you MC a lot of events and you make a lot of money. We are trusting that we are hoping that based on their integrity, they will file their tax returns. And also any information that we get to know is okay. Remember, we are also operating the ecosystem. If we're here, then we would invite you. We have a unit that is actually also, looking at some of these areas. So when you get an invitation to come, respond, and I'm sure they will ask you one or two questions and be able to make a determination. Remember, we are not taxing capital; we are taxing the income that you earn. Yes. So once there's evidence, and there's preponderance of evidence to show that you are earning income, then we'll get it, to tax.
But for now,
yeah, just as I said, I mean, if it is cash transaction and you don't own up, how will I know?
The GRA cannot know.
I get it. These are some of the challenges. I get it.
And that's where you are following the integrity.
But you see, remember, as we go to audit and as we investigate, companies, once we get to know that payments have been made to ABC, then we are getting information. I get it. That is why we insist that we should file our tax returns. So all employees are required to file their tax returns. Hitherto, their employers will file on behalf of employees. But the law has since changed. It says that every employee, by 30th April, we expect every employee to file their tax returns. Is that okay? And disclose all these incomes that the employer may not even have, idea about. Include them, and so that we can tax it appropriately.
But do we get that? Do we see compliance to that specifically?
Yes, there are a lot of persons who actually pay taxes, gifts that they receive. And you see, the point is that, as we keep talking, I'm sure a lot of people would actually yield and do what is right.
Okay. And I'm sure that we'll also get to how people can actually do these things, because there are some people who are not paying not because they don't want to pay, but because they don't know how and where to go and then go about these processes. We'll get there shortly. But then import duties at the ports. There are some who are expecting that, well, it should be reduced by now. Because one, we've seen an appreciation of the cedi, and then we also have these beautiful reforms coming through. Are those realistic expectations? Oh,
if you look at a lot of people who actually import, they will tell you that they are really having a good time because the cedi has appreciated significantly. So they are paying lower duties. And for us, that is, a good thing. as I told you, when government puts in place a policy, it is not all about revenue. So getting people to even pay less duties to clear their goods, clear their vehicles, and what have you, is a good initiative. So we don't have a problem, about that. But all that we are saying is that the little that you are supposed to pay us by way of taxes, let's all contribute. That is all that we are saying.
Okay. And talking about the appreciation of the CD, we've heard from some state agencies that say that, well, it's affecting them. The way the city has appreciated, they are losing money as a result of the appreciation. Is that the same situation with the GRA? Are you losing money?
Oh, yes, significantly. In fact, if you look at the custom tax handles,
yes,
they are all based on the exchange rate situation. So as the city is appreciating, we are getting less in terms of custom duties. But we are fine.
It's not all about the money for the GRA.
Exactly, because it is a government policy, and I believe strongly that we are all happy. Because as a country, we are paying less in terms of interest, to other countries that we owe. So for me, that is very good. And it also helps us to be able to import and pay, duty at a cheaper, cost. This is also very good, for us. So yes, if you ask me, it's actually a mixed blessing. Some are happy, some are not happy. But that is just how life should be.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm also worried for the GRA. And I don't know if it's a genuine source of worry, whether or not we will be able to meet our tax or our targets for the year. Because last year, we were able to meet our targets, by the way.
Officially, Commissioner General would communicate. I'm unable to do that for now. But we are still putting the figures together.
The figures have been put together. But over the years, we've heard from years where we are unable to meet targets and all of those ones. People say, well, regardless of that, the GRA usually sets targets that are very low, just so that you can be able to meet them. And then, is that really the case?
This issue has come up over and over again, but I can tell you where I sit that is not true. When it comes to target setting, what GRA does is we look at, I should say government, we look at the revenue for the previous year. Then we look at the resources that we have. It's okay, what we call efficiency gain. If we are able to deploy all, how much will it give us, even within the current situation? And look at government policy and try to cost government policy. That is how it is actually done. So it's not the case of GRA sitting down to set targets.
A target
no, we don't do that. No, we don't do that. We do it with the government, and government policies are always costed. So any new initiative, we cost it and try to find out how much it would impact. Are you getting it? On tax, and we reflect that. Any government policy that will reduce taxes, we also reflect that, and we also look at the interest rate, exchange rate, and other economic parameters are all taken into account in coming out with a target as far as revenue is concerned.
And there are some who say that the GRA is not friendly to businesses. You are only interested in locking up shops, putting up tapes, and closing down businesses for not being tax compliant.
Yes.
Instead of holding the hands of these businesses and say, you know what, we understand the challenges, let's grow together. When you grow, you'll be able to pay more taxes and we'll also get more revenue.
Yeah, so the point actually is that I am working in GRA because you are doing business or you are in business. GRA does not close businesses. It is the action of taxpayers that would actually create that condition. GRA does not close businesses. The fact of the matter is that you are supposed to file your tax returns. And let me just quickly look at the obligation of the taxpayer.
Right.
The first thing is that you are supposed to register with the Ghana Revenue Authority. And the registration are two-tier. We have one. You register for your TIN, tax identification number. In the case of individuals running businesses, their Ghana card actually is their identification number. Then you register for what we call tax types. What are the tax types that are exposed to the business that you are doing? So we tick those boxes. Then the next one is to file your tax returns. And filing your tax returns is self-assessment. It is you. Tell the Commissioner General, this, I have earned A income, this is how much my cost is, this is how much my profit is. In the case of employment, this is how much I pay my employees, this their social security deduction, and this is how much is left for you to tax. So that is where we say filing of tax returns. So if you do things right there, we don't have a problem. Then the third one has to do with pay your taxes as required by law. So you pay your taxes. And the fourth one, which is critical, is disclose your income honestly. So if you do all these things, I can't bet my last person, GRA will not have any problem with you. There are a lot of businesses that have been in operations for a very long time. And GRA has never closed their business. They have never had any issue with GRA. The point is that it is about communication. I should be able to write to GRA that my business is not doing well. I have made sales on credit, and unfortunately, I have not been able to collect. And I have bank statement to support. Once you do that, nobody will worry you. But where you fail to actually respond when we call you, in most cases, before even we get to closure, we would have exhausted all the processes before we get there. So when we get there and then you are not responding, then you really invite us to either lock up your place. Are you getting it?
So the only time that we see the GRA move in is when these business owners do not respond to the GRA.
Yes, that is. Otherwise, there's nothing else we would do, because we have invited you, we have engaged you, we have given you phone calls, we have come to you severally. And remember, now we have what we call the relationship managers in GRA, just as the banks. When we call you, are you getting it? How is your business doing? We want to find out, is there any issue that we need to actually respond to? We do that. Why are we doing that? We don't want, in fact, if you look at tax administration, it is backed by law, so it is compulsory. But we want to give tax administration aid. We now engage. In fact, even in most cases, we don't even say our taxpayers, we say our clients. Why are we saying that? We are saying that for them to feel that, no, it is not about paying taxes. In some cases, some of them even have overpayments that we refund. What will you say about that? Some are also exempt. Are you getting it? So we really have a very good relationship with our taxpayers and want to maintain that, even improve upon that, because we believe strongly that when they are in business, we are also in business. But so we don't close down. If we close down, how would we get the money?
So you don't take delight at all
no.
When you have to move in and then close the shops and all of those things?
The Commissioner General is really, really at pain in coming to the decision to close down the business. If we have to do that, then it means that we have exhausted all the options that we have. Is that okay? And if that's the only option, per the law, you are supposed to ensure that you collect your taxes. Because the point is that, if it is, let's say, take VAT, for example.
Right.
You have gone to pay for a service. You have paid for the VAT. He is not accounting for it. Is that okay? We come to you severally. We write to you. We serve you notices. I get demand notice. Then we now come and close down your place. They say we are mean. Are you getting it? But you see, the point is
not business friendly.
You see, the point is that no, we find it very difficult telling our own stories. Are you getting it? Okay. And nobody tells our stories on our behalf. But the truth of the matter is that we really don't take pain in closing our businesses. We want businesses to do well. Is that okay? And when they do well, we get our money.
So for a business owner who has defaulted for a long time in fulfilling his or her tax obligations, what avenues are available for such a person to avoid a closure of his or her business?
In the first place, when it comes to VAT, that you have collected the money and you have refused to account for it, what defense do you have? Unless you are able to tell me that you sold on credit. But if you sold and took money, when it comes to VAT, or when it comes to petroleum products, where an OMC has lifted petroleum to sell, government has taxes, inbuilt taxes on your price buildup, and you sell, you refuse to account for it. I mean, it is fair for government to actually come after you. But as I said, we still don't do that. We write to you, engage you in a very friendly manner, because we want you to continue to be in business. And when you are in business, we are also in business. How will we meet our target if businesses are closed down every time? Are you getting it? But remember, there are employees that you keep. The place that, if it is a rented place, you have to pay rent. If you are not running the place, how do you keep all those things together? So there are stakeholders in any business that you do, including GRA. So in trying to actually satisfy other stakeholders, don't forget that you also have a tax obligation. And that is why we are here.
Right.
That is why this education is important.
So for such a person, the person needs to come to the GRA and say, listen, this is where I am. These are the challenges, if any.
Well, certainly. I mean, as I said, we need communication. Once you write to us, that these are the challenges that you have. We'll listen to them, reason with you, and probably provide piece of advice as to how you can get out of that problem. We don't take delight in closing down businesses, as I said earlier. It's okay. But where we are at our wit's end, have exhausted all the options, and the law now says that if you have done this, the next line of action is to close down. We certainly would have to do that.
So if I'm the business owner and I have admitted that indeed I failed in fulfilling my tax obligations, and I come to the GRA, what options are available for me?
So we want to find out how you have failed.
Okay.
Is it that you were not charging if it is VAT? Is it that when it comes to employment income, you are not paying your staff? Is that the case? But remember, if you are entitled to 10 Ghana as salary, but the tax component is 1 cedi, and your employer pays you 9 cedi, he doesn't pay the 1 cedi to Ghana government. He hasn't paid you in full. You have to insist, because you should be interested in where your money is going. Are you getting it? So as employees, we have the right to insist. I want to find out whether, did you pay my taxes last month? Is that okay? Did you pay my social security?
Employees must find out.
They should be interested. Because the point is that it is my money. I work for you.
Yeah.
Is that okay? You are supposed to actually pay that one on my behalf to Ghana Revenue Authority. You haven't paid, and you are keeping it. You haven't given back my money to me. You are keeping it. There are two things. Either you pay him in full. Are you getting it? And he will go and pay, which the law does not allow anyway. Because the law says that you, the employer, must deduct and pay it to Ghana Revenue Authority. So we expect that when you are paying a person, also take note of that. If for any reason, you are not able to do that, then you write to us. You go to your tax office, sit down with the manager. Manager, honestly speaking, I don't have the money. I'm even borrowing to pay staff. Are you getting it? I have a proof. This is my bank statement. Are you getting it? Once all those things are done, we take note of it. Are you getting it? And keep monitoring as you progress till you are able to actually pay those monies. And I can tell you, if you go out doing a survey on what I'm telling you, a lot of people will tell you that indeed they have had that kind of support from the Ghana Revenue Authority. So that is how we run our businesses.
Do you grant amnesty to some of these businesses when you realize that indeed the reasons why they've not been able to fulfill their tax obligations are really germane?
In fact, tax is a creature of statute.
Okay.
We don't, GRA does not grant amnesty. It is a law. So as and when there's any tax amnesty, GRA would quickly administer it. But it must come from the government.
Okay. So that's not it doesn't fall within the remit of the GRA to decide?
No, not at all. When it comes to tax payment, it is the law. You have to use the law.
So yours is to collect?
Yes. The law says, no, not to collect, to administer.
To administer. Quite interesting. So for these tax reforms, I remember you say that once we were told that it kicks in on the 1st, from the 1st you should see the fruits of the tax reform, the reforms. But then when is it realistic to measure the impact?
Yeah, so you can measure the impact after the end of the year. When it comes to VAT, the law says that VAT that is collected, the month in which the VAT is collected, is okay. You make the payment on or before the last working day of the following month.
Okay.
So you have, can you even imagine, when you collect the taxes, the VAT, you can use it to support your business. But remember that you would have to pay on or before. So we call it interest-free loan. So this also is some support the government is giving to businesses.
Okay.
So for us to be able to measure the impact of this new reforms that we are talking about, then we can do that after January 31st. Are you getting it? Yeah. No, February. Sorry.
February rather.
Yes. Because the taxes in January, we paid on or before December, February. So February ending, that is when. So we can just say that in March, we should be able to communicate how we have fared in the new system. But we are hoping and believing that things will work out well.
Right. And so my earlier submission was to find out as well from you that for businesses who have done the wrong things in the past, it's a new year. What's the advice to them?
If they have done wrong things in the past, so wrong things can be one, you haven't registered with the Ghana Revenue Authority. Quickly register. It's important. Number two, you haven't filed your tax returns. You need to file. Number three, you haven't paid. You need to pay. You haven't disclosed income honestly. In fact, even that one is in the law. Once you are able to, on your own, come out to say that, at a point in time, I didn't disclose this income. I want to disclose it now. When you do that, then the sanctions that would apply will not apply it. Okay. That is where you on your own come.
So if I own up, the sanctions will not be applied.
Yes.
But if I don't own up and GRA finds out, then I will penalize.
Exactly. So we also have all those things. So where you don't do any of these 4 things that we've spoken about, then you are in breach. So we expect you to actually put them right and ensure that you actually do what is right by the law.
Can individuals who are earning and over the years have not paid anything to the GRA, but in the new year they want to be patriotic citizens, they want to contribute to the growth and development that we seek to see in Ghana, can we do that online, or we need to walk to a GRA office?
So we have automated most of our systems.
Okay.
But sometimes for us to actually be able to get you to sign some documents, then you have to come. Are you getting it? We also need to have some interview with you. Sometimes online is good. I mean, we are able to do all those things online. But we also expect that where it becomes necessary, just walk to any GRA office. Are you getting it? And let us have some conversation with you and probably advise you appropriately. Otherwise, online, we are fine. Are you getting it? Once you register the Register General in terms of your business system, then the information is actually sent to us. Is that okay? Then we can call you, have some conversation with you. And
so we shouldn't fear coming to your office.
Oh, at all. In fact, if there's any place to
people
fear,
feel that if you are going to the GRA, you are presenting yourself up for scrutiny.
If there's any place to fear, it's coming to the TV studio, but not to GRA.
So, I mean, as acting head of strategy and research at GRA, what keeps you at night?
What keeps me
awake?
Oh, yeah, so I have a duty to my country.
Yeah,
to work hard to ensure that I'm able to deliver, because what I do is very important. If I don't do that, obviously there's a problem, somewhere. So that is what I do. I try to understand what it is, the strategy that we need to map up, the support systems that we need to build to support the Commissioner General, and also to research into areas which potentially can give us revenue. Then we give him, information, and also to research into the various departments of GRA and see how we can ensure efficiency, in their operations. So we do all these things, and then we update, Commissioner General. So that is what we do in the office.
Right. And what's the contingency plan if, at the end of the day, our expectations in terms of revenue, we are unable to meet that?
Yeah, so that is quite distant in my expectation.
Okay.
I believe strongly that the new reforms or the reforms were well thought through. We evaluated all the possible options, alternatives, and this is the best that can happen to the country. We just want to say that our taxpayers should be very opened. They should ask questions. We are around to support. And when all those things are done, I believe strongly that we'll have a good story at the end of the year.
And is that an assurance you're giving to the Ghanaian people that what we're experiencing is not going to be only easy on the Ghanaian people, but then would also be able to put and raise the necessary revenue? We
are not going to say that because we need revenue, we are going to actually create some kind of a fear and panic in the system. No. Is that okay? We are telling Ghanaians that, look, we are out to do our work. Also do your work. If you have to file, come and file. If you have to pay, come and pay. If there is any reason that you cannot file, let us know.
Okay.
I get it. That is what it is. But we are not going to do anything different. What we are going to do is just to ensure that we, work hand in gloves. And remember, the tax-paying community is in partnership with us. So without the business community, there's no GRA. I think I've said that earlier. So we are working with them. And they should also give us feedback. If they think that there are things that we can do to improve upon their businesses, they should tell us, and we would respond.
So what was the feedback system like at the GRA?
Oh, we have a lot of feedback systems. We have TACAD, Tax Audit and Quality Assurance Department of GRA. What they do is that when our auditors go to do audit and it is not properly done, maybe harassing taxpayers and whatnot, once they get the feedback, they respond. We also have what we call the customer experience. It's a unit within the Communications and Public Affairs Department of Ghana Revenue Authority. They also go around conscientizing staff that, hey, taxpayers are your clients. Tax payment is not easy. And anybody who chooses to want to pay tax, support the person. So this is information that they give us every day as we interact with taxpayers. So they also tell us. So at any point in time, you are aware or you are told to ensure that you do what is right. Is that okay? So, and the Commissioner General's office is so open. Once you call and give any information, Commissioner General will ensure that he investigates and then he corrects whatever it is supposed to be corrected.
And I remember you mentioned earlier, when I asked you the question about the broadening the tax net, you mentioned that the modified taxation has also broadened some yield. Is that the inclusion of technology in taxation, and what impact has that really brought to revenue mobilization?
Yeah, so the informal sector, as we mentioned earlier, has been a challenge for us. So this product, the modified taxation system that we are talking about, it's not actually a new thing.
Okay.
It's just trying to get them to also contribute whatever they are supposed to contribute to tax payment. So we've come out with some kind of products just to meet certain tax payers. That is what it is. There are some who are just going to pay a fixed amount. Is that okay? Every quarter, a fixed amount. There are some who are going to pay based on what we call their turnover. Is that okay? So that one is also there. It is just nothing but just to make sure that we are able to collect taxes from every person who earns income, and also to get them to also know that they have a say in the development of this country.
Right, and so that has whipped up the revenue.
Yeah, so we are anticipating that we started conscientization last year into this year. We are still talking. There's a team out there that is also talking about some of these things, and I believe strongly that by the close of the year we should be able to get some yield, from that. Yeah. Right.
And really, in terms of the work you do, with regards taxation, digitization, I'm sure that's playing an effective role, even aside the modified taxation you talk about.
Yeah, so digitalization is actually a tool that we have employed. So as we speak now, payment of taxes, in fact, GRA, we don't accept cash payment. So if you come there with your cash, we would ask you to go back to the bank and pay. You can pay via Momo, you can pay through the banks and other. We don't collect cash.
Okay.
So that is quite innovative. We think that we have mastery over tax administration. The banks also have mastery when it comes to, yes, so they should deal with that. Is that okay? So that's what we have done. So in effect, the cashiers that we had, we have now deployed them into tax operations. Some will say widened and deepen the tax net. We are deliberate because these persons are out there trying to actually support. Hitherto they were in the offices collecting cash. Number two, when it comes to payment, filing, you can file in the comfort of your home.
Okay.
I don't need to walk to GRA. I just go into my system and then I populate my tax returns and bingo, it goes. Wow. I get it. So that is also what we have done. And then those who import goods into the country, they will tell you when you go, ICAMS, the Integrated Custom Management System, it has actually created efficiency. Is that okay? In custom, tax administration. So clearance, valuation is done almost real time.
Wow.
I get it.
Right.
So some of these things have been put in place to make sure that we are able to provide comfort for our taxpayers.
And so finally, before we draw the curtains on the show tonight, Doc, what will be your message to Ghanaians with regards these new tax reforms, as well as their obligations as well as taxpayers?
So thank you very much. I want to just say that this new act is actually an act that is reforming the VAT tax administration. So VAT and then the levies are not new. What we have done is that we have rather reduced the levies. And then we have also taken out the cascading effect that used to actually increase cost of doing business. We have also created some clarity and legal certainty when it comes to the tax administration. And we want all persons whose turnover exceeds 750,000, you have within 30 days to register with the Ghana Revenue Authority and begin to actually comply with your tax laws. All persons who were operating under the flat rate, we are saying that with the advent of this new system, there's no flat rate anymore. So automatically begin to charge your VAT using the standard. Now, all persons who were operating with a flat rate, we are saying that please return your VAT booklets to the Ghana Revenue Authority and pick the standard ones and begin to actually administer. Until you are deregistered by the Commissioner General, please remain registered and remain to actually, charge and account for it. It's not only about charging and accounting, but also accounting for it is also very important. And we want to also assure the business community that this is a very friendly structure of tax administration. It has rather come to reduce your cost. And I've heard some traders association out there talking, about it. Please, let's sit down and have conversation. And we'll just take you through how the system is supposed to, operate. And when you appreciate it, you realize that we are rather better off under the new regime. And I just want to say that, please, let's comply. This is the only country that we have. And we need to work hand in glove to ensure that we raise the real revenue to build our mother, Ghana.
Doc, thank you so much for coming. It's been a real eye-opener with you. That's Dr. Dominic Naab. He is the acting head of strategy and research at the Ghana Revenue Authority, helping us appreciate tax obligations and also properly understand the new tax reforms as announced in the budget for the year 2026 and also reiterated by the finance minister, VAT cut down, among others. And yes, it is to make our lives easier as Ghanaians and also to encourage us to now pay our taxes with integrity. And so for those of you earning out there and not paying the taxes, I beg you, in 2026, may we all repent and start paying our taxes before the GRA comes after us for not doing what we ought to do, our obligation to Mother Ghana. That's a very great way to start the show here in the year 2026. But before we go, I'll let you know that MTN free after one extra is still in force. So you get to pay for the first minute of every 10 minutes you speak in the hour, uninterrupted, smooth talking, get to connect with the people that matter and the conversations that will change your life for the better. The good news is that you get extra 50 megabytes of data free to top it up. It won't pay away, now open day. That's exactly what MTN is asking you to get onto MTN free after one extra today to enjoy unlimited talk. Great value with good people. That's it for State of Affairs here on GHOne Television. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. We are back same time next week, God willing. Do have a wonderful evening.